is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our monthly Power Circle call where we pick a topic to cover, and tonight is the Virgo, Pisces, nodes, and eclipses. So, welcome everyone. I'm so grateful for everyone that's with us live and listening to the replay. Tonight we're covering Virgo, Pisces, nodes, and eclipses, which have to do with our life path and direction, and the changes and pivot points that happen along the way that we can learn to co-create with. In my opinion, I've been tracking these cycles for a very long time. I was saying before we started how I found some good old notes from '06 to '08 that we're going to look at that are going to be really fun to review because it's still the energy, and now it's run a complete cycle. This is actually another aha moment was that this is Karmic Tools life path. So you all can apply all the cycle stuff you learn from me that I'm always talking about, personal cycles, to a business, to a house, to a location. You know, it's lots of ways to apply what you're learning about the cycles from me. Now this one is super sacred because it has to do with the moon. The nodes are not really entities as much as points in the sky, and so it has to do with the whole movement of the sun and moon, and everything we do internally is ruled by those waves. So again, learning to co-create gets pretty magical once you sort of tap in. This is one that is technically, it's 9 and 18, but because these guys do actually, there's retrograde motion supposedly with this as well, it ends up extending out to about a 20-year cycle that moves in 5-year increments that I'm always talking about is the North Node, your life path and direction. So like I said, there's the one going on in your chart that you live with, and then there's the one going on up in the sky that we're all tapping into now to try to take advantage of the energy since it only comes around every 18 to 20 years. This is a big cycle that if you can reflect on the last 20 years and think about what was really ending back then, '06, '08, and what did you actually initiate that took and fed you and came with you to this point, and how ready are you to complete something and start in a new direction and dream a new vision? Think about that throughout the night as we lay things on the table. Eclipses are part of this because, like I said, it's basically all related to the moon. So when eclipses happen, they are our harbingers of change. They're change agents, just like Uranus and Pluto. They bring the changes that you can't always plan for, although I have learned, like I said, to track these energies and lessons are what the signs are all about to me. Kelly's world, that's the way we talk about the signs, is the elements and the signs bring lessons and information that I look at it as working with what's available rather than trying to push the river or force my will, which is going to come up in our divinations, y'all. It was deep, okay? So there's so much to this rhythm that once you tap in, it becomes a personal resource for you because I love following the cycles because it gives you permission to focus on what the energy supports. And so you can easily say no thank you to certain things that it's just not time for, or you can say absolutely yes to things that you can feel in your bones that it is time for. And another thing that'll be on the back burner all night with Virgo Pisces is that is the part of us, no matter whether you have planets there or not, it is somewhere ruling an area of your life, and it's where we do our processing. We're going to get into that too. But intuiting right timing for you, the individual, is what Virgo Pisces is all about. Pisces is the intuition and the watery feeling part of us that imagines what's possible, and Virgo is the practical application in your body systems. How's that really function and work in real time on Earth? And when you bring them together, manifesting gets really magical, right? So theme throughout the night is going to be about how you determine right timing for making certain choices and actions and making moves in the world. And in this case, again, underlying all night is life path and direction is going to be the whole theme. And so when eclipses start shaking things up, I call them shake-ups, wake-ups, and breakups come with eclipses, then you have to move things around. It's challenging because it's moon to our emotions and our internal default settings who kind of get comfy in certain ways. And that's another reason I love the cycles, because it allows us to keep it moving. So we don't stagnate when we follow the cycle. And for me, I have really strong Virgo, and so I know this is related to an upgrade going on for me personally. But this is how I got better at my Virgo, because I learned earlier that when you tap into a rhythm and routine that works for you, you can go along and never even question it because it works so well. This is your rhythm. This is what works. But then the day it don't work, I don't know about y'all, but my Virgo loses it. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I can track it a little bit. I go through things and I'm like, why is this rhythm not working anymore? And I'm a little past due for changing it. And that's how I started to get on it with the cycles. I was like, okay, I'm going to be on it now because it becomes aggravational to have to stop in the middle of life to change your rhythm when I could tie it to the cycle and make it organic and flowing and natural and rhythmic, which is, again, what Pisces and Virgo are going to want throughout the night as well. Now, right now, technically it doesn't kick in until January 11th of 2025. So this is the heads up in preparation. We're still in the Aries-Libra North Node. So we're coming out of Aries-Libra eclipses going into Virgo-Pisces eclipses. There's something to that, too. You all have heard me say everything's a response to the last thing, preparation for the next thing. This happens with this rhythm of our path winding through life, right? And this is one we can start to tap into that shifts every 5 years. And then once you feel it, you'll start to know when it's time to shift. And then again, you're on time instead of after the fact looking back, oh, if I had just shifted there, this would be working better over here now. So it's going to go from January 11th, 25 to July 26th, 2026. Kimberly can go crazy with these numbers, but I look at July 26th as that day out of time that the Mayans celebrate. I've been doing that for years. And it is I've had so much magic on that day, I don't even know what to do. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And when it shifts from Virgo Pisces at that point, it's going to shift into Leo Aquarius. So here we are coming out of shakeups, wake-ups, and breakups in our Aries-Libra zone, which is actually self versus other and you, the individual, within the context of your relationships. Now that things have changed in those departments, Virgo Pisces is tuning in to say what's healthy for you, what's going to work and function for you, and what's your dream and vision, because Pisces is that imagination part of us as well that can either use the imagination for good, bringing up those beautiful positive visions, or a very poor negative use of our imagination is imagining the worst case scenarios. You should never, ever use your imagination for that. So when you catch yourself, you want to just dial it in and do what you can to self-correct. As we determine what's healthy and manageable and what works for us as individuals during these shakeups, wake-ups, and breakups in the Virgo-Pisces department, then it's going to go into Leo Aquarius where you need to shine your light and make your unique contribution. So if you haven't recalibrated you, the individual, within the context of your relationships and got that balanced and reciprocal, then it's going to be really hard on this get healthy, get into your intuition, learn how to manage your systems time. So now that's shifting, and it's time to, get down with what's going to really work in your day-to-day rhythms. And as you anchor that, it's like get yourself together before you try to go out there and make that unique contribution and shine your light. And the better we do at this next 18 months at anchoring our own systems and taking advantage of this huge ending, y'all. Anything that goes through Pisces is the end of the end of the end in terms of our little rhythm that we tap into here. And because Saturn's there for once in 30 years, Neptune's there 165 years, now we've got this 20-year cycle. They're very big overlapping cycles telling us that it's kind of the end of an era. And so in that regard, we also need to think bigger with our visions and our imagining our futures and things like that. Now, part of the way we're able to do that is by reflecting on cycles past. So I'm always going to refer you back to the years where things were popping. Now, remember earlier I said this full cycle that just came full circle to Pisces started in 06-08 and came to here and now, 24 to 27. But let's go in order. There was a Pisces North Node. I'm going way back and moving forward. I went back to 87, 89, Pisces North Node. And then about 10 years later, 97 to 98, it was a Virgo North Node. And then 06 to 08 was another Pisces North Node. And 2015 to 17 was another Virgo North Node. And here we are back to Pisces, 24 to 27. So these years where the Pisces energy is leading the way and is the focus and purpose of that time were 87 to 89, 06 to 08, and now 24 to 27. In between, we had the Virgo ones, which were 97 to 98 and 2015 to 2017. And that would have been probably activating different things around your day-to-day life and rhythms and health and things that Virgo represents. or that area of life that it rules in your chart. So for me, it rules my career 10th house at the top of my chart. So Virgo gets serious in all kinds of ways for me. We look at those years to see what changed, what happened, what shifted, what kind of path, pivot point did you have at that time, and always running it through the Virgo Pisces filter of filters in general. Is this real or is this a perception? Is this relevant and useful or is this a distraction and petty detail? Is this a hidden potential or a blind spot that's going to trip me up? So we start asking these questions because, again, it's sort of midpoint and completion with Virgo Pisces in a lot of ways. And we're coming so full circle where the old dream is clearly dying off and we are beginning to imagine the new dream. I don't know how many of you on this call are hearing the replay. We're on our September 2nd new moon money pouring with Yeye, but a new world is coming, y'all, and we are seeding that vision right now. And the other thing, again, it's like it precedes you going out there to make your unique contribution. So it's important that we do this healing and integration that goes with Virgo Pisces is a big part of the theme as well. The better we can do that on every single level, then the more fun we're going to have with Leo Aquarius, because that is fun. It's fun and it's progressive, and let's do things differently and in a better way for humans. You know, there's a lot of good stuff in Leo Aquarius, but it only works when everybody is centered in their true heart and their true light, and there's no insecurity and self-consciousness and lack of self-love that is the shadow side of all that, right? So knowing that we're really working on that too is a big part of this transition as well. Now, I also looked at the activations that will happen while we have the Virgo Pisces nodes and eclipses going on. While we're doing that, we have one opportunity, two big initiations, and two relatively important tests to grow in our consciousness. And we're going to get pushed, y'all. And it's all tied up with Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini, Sag. So we're still back to processing. So let's talk about those real quick, just in case some people need a refresher. So I look at the signs in their individual groups in a couple of different ways. The way that I teach it is through the seasons. Winter, spring, summer, fall is Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, and everyone's pretty familiar with those pivot points in the year in the solar rhythm. And it's pretty active. There's lots of choices and changes and movement and things to do at the turn of the season that we're all pretty conditioned to. So what I've tried to teach is that the month before all that, we should be in Gemini, Sag, Virgo, Pisces processing time, processing emotionally, processing mentally, doing our physical processing and our spiritual processing, which is specifically Virgo, Pisces is our physical and spiritual processing and integration and how we make meaning out of any of this, right, and tell any kind of story. So it's critical that we clean up that imagination and get through some of those fears and phobias, which are also the shadow side of Pisces, is irrational fears. Let's get grounded. Let's get in our bodies. Let's be more practical and figure out where we can do a little work that allows us to have a little dream time over here. You know, we want to do both. Humans were meant to do both. So while we're changing and integrating and healing and doing all this other stuff, which we should go through a little list of what's possible, I'm just going to touch on these real quick because these are so big. These are social collective movements for the most part. And so I'm not talking about personal stuff. These things are going to be moving a group of us along to our next level. The Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sag also has a lot to do with the way we learn and process information. And I don't think I completed my thought. With the processing that goes on prior to the choices and changes of winter, spring, summer, fall, it's important for us to do that processing so we make good choices. If we make good choices and we go from there to the month after the turn of the wheel, which is Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, now we're in the fixed energies where we need to anchor permanently or release permanently based on the choices we just made. Now, if we didn't do our processing, we don't make good choices, then whatever we anchor or release is probably not going to work in our favor. So that's why getting a rhythm to this and learning how important the processing part is, the way I teach that is that I call the fixed energies the bones because they don't really change a lot or quickly or often. The cardinal energies, which would be Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, are the muscles in the body. Now we got the muscles and the bones. But Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sag are the ligaments and tendons that connect the muscle to the bone. If we didn't have them, we couldn't move at all. We couldn't do anything we want to do. So in life, I feel like if we don't do our processing, we're not really getting the best out of things. And so many people buzz through and bypass processing at all that you don't get to embody that wisdom. Then it just becomes something you heard or saw one day that, you tapped into that day, but you didn't take it with you. So let's see what comes up in this 18-month process. And so pay attention to body and spirit specifically, and then know that you're being challenged in your Gemini Sag to believe something differently, to be a little more open to trying a different way or allowing a different perception to come through, to understand it from another angle kind of thing. That's going to come up a lot too. And so with the activations coming up, the opportunity is with Uranus in Taurus. We've got the North Node, the life path and direction is in Pisces, and this Uranus change agent, the awakener, the freedom and liberation planet, we're having an opportunity to change with a little more ease and grace than usual. Let's put it that way. Whatever you're ready, willing, and able to change, Uranus is here to help. And in Taurus, it has to do with our values and priorities on one level, our food, sex, and money in a literal level. It has to do with our creature comforts and personal security and all that we're awakening to, how important and vital it is to stay connected to Earth as human beings. Now, if you want to be a robot and a clone and a drone, peace be with you. But I'm talking to the Earthlings that need their feet on the ground and their head under the sky to feel balance. And this is going to come up a lot, because virtual reality can be very seductive, and it's also very toxic. So be mindful with your boundaries is a huge Virgo Pisces thing, because Pisces ain't got no boundaries, so Virgo comes in like, hold up, we got to do this another way. We need that earthy boundary part to function. Otherwise, we're not functional, okay? And we don't want that. So let's take this opportunity to liberate the path you're on, the direction you're going, which is also where I went with the Divinations. So keeping in mind that we're having to do something radically different. When it's Uranus, it's radical. It's nothing we even thought about before. And because I do know most of you on here, I do know how radically shifted you have been over the last 2 years. And not that we all haven't, but I've gotten to witness so many of your evolutions, and I feel so blessed to be able to see that, because you all are helping me track these cycles too. Now, the test to grow, I'm going to skip right over the initiations. We're going to do the fun stuff last. The test to grow come between Jupiter and Gemini and what we're believing to be true or possible. It is also where we could get hung up on little things that we need to be thinking more big picture. There's probably some learning that has to happen. I don't know about y'all, but I need a certain amount of updating to my tech knowledge because I'm a dinosaur. I used to be the one. I was doing it all. I thought I was hanging tough, but it moved so fast in this 20 years between that I've birthed Karmic tools that everybody passed me by years ago. So I'm recognizing there's a couple of technical basic skills that I want to learn, but there's also, I want to go deeper with my ancestral reverence and the various cultures that I've found out that are part of my DNA and things like that. So this next level is coming for everybody, and it is rooted in your body and spirit work, okay? So don't forget that. Jupiter and this challenge to the life path may be, again, what you're believing to be true or possible for your life path, but also, what story do you want to tell? I can easily use the example of motherhood and empty nest. I never wanted to tell the story that I've heard a million times over of mothers who, once they became empty nest, couldn't figure out what to do with themselves. Well, honey, I've been had a list, okay? I've been making a list the whole time. I'm like, I want to do all this when he goes. So I'm just checking shit off now. And so you want to think about your options and opportunities and what you believe is possible there. And you want to think about, because Jupiter and Gemini is once in 12 years to expand our networks and to expand our knowledge base. What do we know and what do we believe? And there's another one to play with. Think about that challenge when you believe in one thing, but your path is going another way. That's happening to me too. There's things I thought I was going to do when I got to this place that not even an option. It wouldn't even be fun now, And now I'm thinking of all these really fun, amazing things I want to do with you all. That's taking it to another level. So infusing your creative babies and your purpose and that unique contribution that eventually you're going to have to offer, right? cultivating that now will be useful too, because as long as you're getting strong on the Virgo side, strengthening, fortifying your body, and then using that Pisces side to cultivate your creative babies and do that, because I feel like we're in a womb. I don't know who read the note, but I feel like we're in a womb space developing all kinds of things, developing ourselves, developing our next world, that new world that's coming. We're developing the vision for that. It's going even deeper and deeper. And if you can do it consciously, it's just, to me, it's more fun. We're all connected. Each one of us is a different facet of the diamond, bringing a perspective that lights it all up, right? And I love it. And this is why community is becoming more and more important, and being in person with community when and where we can is even more important. I know that just from the few trips I've been able to make with Yay and them. So let's be mindful of what we're believing to be true or possible about our path and direction. And if we're limiting ourselves, there's some kind of way. And remember, Gemini's the twins. Maybe you need to double down and do two things. You know, some people can do that. Some people can't. So it just depends on your nature and your default settings. But the other challenge is coming from Uranus. So see how Jupiter and Uranus have to do with our consciousness and our belief systems. So we're waking up there because Uranus now, first time in 84 years, is moving from Taurus into Gemini. It's got another year to go back and forth, though. I peak game. We got a lot of other stuff going on, y'all. But this challenge to the life path, again, is if you don't change, life will change for you. Hello, good morning. That's not the way we want to roll. There's another one, honey. This is an old Kelly mantra. I no longer need to learn through suffering and pain and tragedy and loss and, you know, just all of that. We don't have to do it that way. You can choose how you want to learn your lessons, and you can talk to your spirit team about how to bring stuff to you. And they sometimes do bring it too much, too intense, maybe the timing isn't right for you to take on all that at one moment, but you can ask them to dial it back, and they will. You always have control of that. So this input-output thing is going to be happening too, where you're recalibrating what's natural for you, what's part of your rhythm. Okay, so social media's got its place where it's fun or informative or useful, again, with the boundaries, allowing yourself, an hour a day or whatever it is you need to get by, and then spending more time in nature, more time working on your body or your creativity. That's what's going to be supported. And like I said, with the test to grow, if we don't change our consciousness and we don't change direction in some kind of way, in some level, it may not be every single level of your life, but there's probably one level that you already know in the back of your mind you've been needed to change. And now Uranus is saying now or never, folks. And that Gemini part is still all in the mind. So let's be training that monkey mind, okay? Let's get the ego and the mind trained up like they need to be. We don't want to lose our mind. We don't want to lose our ego, but we need to train them up so that they serve us and not the other way around, and they serve the heart's goals. Now, the initiations are bigger than all that, because now it's Saturn and Neptune. And so we have this initiation with the North Node, February 6th of 2025, it's going to touch Neptune in the sky. And this is once in 165 years. So this is where I would say on that prayer day, most of you know when I give you a date, it's good for writing petitions and talking to the entities involved and asking the energies to go the way you would like them to go. And always end all your requests with this or something better, this or something greater, this or something bigger, whatever. But leave room for spirit to work, because 99% of the time, spirit does better. So leave that open. But Neptune is vision and connection to God and spirit and all that is, and the multidimensionality of our nature, of this planet, of how much diverse life lives here. And, the top parts don't know what the bottom parts are doing. The bottom parts don't know what the top parts are doing. We are all individual systems that have to work together. And this is another reset in that way. Now, the bigger thing about Neptune, of course, is that it rules the ocean. So there's going to be a big reset with the ocean world because of this. Now, back in the day, I remember reading along the way that the first kind of tracked cycle, we know Neptune's been doing it for eons, but the first time astrologers started tracking it, it was, let's go explore the ocean, and they really only could explore the top. And 165 years later, they had finally figured out how to explore the ocean below. And so now we're resetting even bigger there. And we need the waters of the world, y'all. We need to bless the waters and work with the water deities and be water, right? We are 80% water. We need to be good with this element. And so that's going to become a big reset. But the challenge of that womb and development of Pisces is that it spits out in Aries. And we spark to life, and we activate something, and we initiate something. And in this way, it's going to have to be global, because Neptune's global, but Saturn is social level, and it's reality and purpose, roles and responsibilities. So that initiation in Pisces is also initiating a new dream, a new vision for your reality, for all of our reality, for the social level. You know, couldn't we be a little more creative and a little less neurotic? I believe we could do it, but it would take the whole world to get on board to get it there and find that balance. So deep breath, those are the activations. Now I think what we want to pay attention to is the fact that, like I said, that it's going to activate when Saturn gets with Neptune at 0 Aries, which is a world point, on 2/20/2026. We're going to end up doing a call about that, probably that January, so that we can do a ritual around that, because that's going to be huge. And like I said, it's social and collective. And if you have 0 Aries, which we all do have somewhere, it's hitting that point to reset our individual reality in a certain kind of way as well. So that's the huge, big one we're moving toward. We got to get all the way through 2025 to get to it, but we're moving toward that. What's beautiful and deep is that basically Saturn is going to be in a sextile to Uranus, which is going to be in a sextile to Neptune. So these three big heavy hitters are in an opportunity kind of angles together, because they're all moving from one element to another element that are still complementary. And so we are still being blessed, y'all. We're being extended some grace to gain some traction, to get some things built, to get that foundation in place of your physical and spiritual practices, which I've already been harping on since Saturn got there. The better we can do with all that, the better we're going to be able to handle the Aries energy, the fire that's coming, because again, social collective world is having a little bit of a meltdown and a rebirth there as well. We just don't want to go the hard way. You know, I love Yeye talking to Oshun where she says, not in my village. Yes, it's going to be happening around the world, but not in our village. So keeping that in your heart as well, like blessing the world and blessing all the challenging places around the world, is something we do a lot of ritual for. 2, keeping in mind, my little lesson I got living in Florida was that I could be driving down the street under blue skies and cumulus clouds, and literally across the street was black sky and a raging storm with lightning and thunder and the whole nine, but not touching me. I could see it, but it wasn't messing with my driving. It wasn't messing with my day. And I remember Spirit just came in loud and clear that day and was like, see, you can know it's chaos over there, but if it's not affecting you, don't let it affect your system, because your system doesn't always know the difference between what you're telling it and what's really happening. So we want to get some clarity there. That's another body-spirit thing we have to work on in terms of balancing that inner duality, which is going to be highlighted. Now, all this energy, this is from my numbers people, Kimberly, are at the end degrees and beginning degrees, because Pisces and Aries are at the end and beginning too. All this energy is very ending, new beginning vibration. And that's 24 degrees that goes all the way to 29, and then 0 degrees to 5 degrees are the low ends. So keeping that in mind for my numbers people, there's a lot of energy in those zones of our chart where we have late and early degrees overlapping. If you have, Aries Pisces or Aquarius Pisces, where they're overlapping, you're feeling this, because the eclipses just came through and they're coming through Leo Aquarius next. So those cusp areas can be very busy, let's say, for some of us, and let's be mindful. But all of this is an opportunity to basically birth a new world. There's no two ways about it. There's not another way to say that, really. And to know that you're part of that root, and so your vision counts, and we need that. So let's take a little time. What time is it? Okay, we're going to run through these real quick just because they're kind of interesting. I found some old notes. I told you this cycle that's back from 0608. I was really into full moon, new moon back in the day. And so I wanted to look up Virgo Pisces to see what we really need to hold the vision around. With Virgo, we're looking, of course, Earth and being practical. Also, I always like to remind people that Virgo considers Earth sacred, not just important, but sacred. The body is not just important, it's sacred. Your health, not just important, it's sacred. So keeping that in mind, we're redefining Virgo from the traditional astrology that has them locked in a box. There's so many deeper ways to express our Virgo. It is time to focus on the details in a certain kind of way, the little things that allow the big vision to work. That's our Virgo side as well. We're coming out of Leo time and the heart to Virgo, which can be a little bit more intuitive, right? We went in our bodies. How do we sense things? The balance of tangible versus intangible, the flow and structure that earth and water is. We want to assess all that has been activated thus far so that you can make the most of the remaining time. Again, with this ending, new beginning. Are you okay with that? Do you struggle with ending and closure and finality of so much? There's a lot of that around, and that could cause a little stress on your nervous system if you don't like that. And at the same time, we need to co-create with it, because the sooner we allow some of this dead old to get up out of here, the vibrant new can come on in. One by one, sort of one thing at a time, get organized. Don't overwhelm your system, but try to just get organized. Purify on many levels, physical, body, health systems, all that. This is a purification, like fasting and everything is good at this time of year. There are different cultures that do it regularly now. Simplify, streamline, and sacrifice is also part of Virgo, because Virgo wants things to be simple, healthy, natural. It's so much easier. We've talked about time management happens with Virgo, because is it really the priority, or are we being distracted? Those filter questions you want to activate real strong for the next year and a half. And what's working, what's not. When you get off track, there used to be this little writing exercise. I don't know if y'all have heard of this. Okay, so I take my notes, and let's say I wrote, like I did today, Virgo, Pisces, nodes, and eclipses, and then I underline it. But I'm writing on lined paper, so I underline it with the line. Sometimes I go off that line. The question was, in the writing exercise, was how long does it take you to stop and course correct when you go off track like that? And that it was a metaphor for how we live in, right? And that depending on how far off the line you go and how long it takes you to realize you got to come back. And so I've always paid attention to that. It's always fascinating when it's a straight, perfect line and I don't have any trouble at all. And then when I go off track in life and on my paper. So just think about that with these energies as well. On the Pisces side, from the old nodes, these are really funny. Pisces reminds us that though things are not apparent, there is much going on beneath the surface. Yes, we're talking the ocean realm. Yemaya and Olokun are our ocean deities. Gathering, sorting info. Unlike Virgo, now we're in the spiritual realm of Pisces. So we're picking up vibrations. It's more intuitive knowing and subliminal messages. And one of the ways that I used to describe that, I don't know if it's in here, but it was like when you put your head underwater. You can hear that someone's talking, or you can hear there's noise, but you can't really make out what it is. That's what it's like to be down the bottom of the ocean, or in the deep part of the ocean. And sometimes it can be like that with Pisces. We're perceiving things. We know there's something going on, but we're not quite sure what it is. We want to use the Virgo discernment to help with our Pisces dreams and visions, right? What's really relevant and useful, and what's a delusion or illusion. Different mode of communication with Pisces. It's not words. It's more of an art and visualization and creativity and feeling, and it's different. We always talk about how 95% of our universe is invisible, but that is true of us too. NASA just broke this down. If you're here, girl, I want you to come on and break that down for the whole world. It's really important for us to realize we're only using about 5% of our capacity. We are magical beings. We can do so much. But if we don't believe, or we're not supported by the community and by people around us, which is part of our family and DNA karma that we're all working out on some level, it gets challenging. But now we're building that. We're getting together more often, and we have each other, so it's going to come together. Okay. We want to connect the vision, the dream, the visualization. We want to connect to it, because we are preparing to activate it or birth it in Aries when we go from Pisces to Aries in general. Oh, yeah. With Pisces, rather than the rose-colored glasses or the escaping truth, we want to transcend your reality to the higher vision, which is actually possible now. So rather than lazy inaction that comes with Pisces sometimes, we actually are doing meditation and visualizations and internal work. A lot of folks looking at us don't think we're doing nothing, okay? I have a wonderful book for that, The Unplugging the Patriarchy by Lucia Renee. I love it because it's all about these three mystic females. One is a seer, one is a soldier, and one is a sovereign. And the seer can see into the other realms. The soldier can go into the other realms to affect change, but the sovereign holds the heart space and holds the light for them both to get back to. And it's hilarious. At one point in the book, the two seer and the soldiers fussing at the sovereign, like, you're not doing anything, you're not helping, you're just sitting there. And she's like, I'm holding the light. I'm holding the heart space. It is important for us to have a place or a space or a person that does that to help us hold that space. It is very important to be the sovereign. Activating your inner compass, we're absolutely doing that because, again, we're in a world where real and virtual is colliding, so you need your body to tell you what's real and what's not. You need your intuition to tell you what's right for you and what's not. You need these senses, the six senses, to determine where your boundaries are and what really is important for you in this moment. Again, how much can your system actually handle? So we're looking at, with Pisces, lots of endings, completion, integrating the let go and let God principle, the dissolution of boundaries. So on Pisces side, we dissolve boundaries, but on the Virgo side, we build boundaries. It's very important. So creative visualization is going to become really important. Again, with that meditation time or time in nature is going to be so critical for you to be able to get back in your body or to downregulate your nervous system in whatever way. We're accessing that higher consciousness and tapping into our sensitivity now. The Pisces lesson is around sensitivity issues. Are you too sensitive or not sensitive enough? What's going on there? Anything hidden, repressed, or suppressed is coming to the top to be healed, to be dealt with. Your connection to the whole. This is a big, let's say, concept to play with prior to going into the Leo Aquarius zone, where you're going to want to shine your light and share your essence and be in community and do things with other people. If you're not, again, grounded in your own rhythms and grounded in something real for you that's natural for you, it's going to be challenging to maintain your authenticity. So where perception is shifting with this new break to realign, I forgot to say that. That's the other thing eclipses do for us. Is there's an interruption in the flow of light, right? And light activates everything in our systems, right? That's the activator for all our systems. So this interruption creates what we call a break to realign, like when a doctor has to break your arm to reset it, to make it grow right or to make it heal correctly. That's what eclipses really help us do. They break us of whatever direction, path, and situation that we're in and says, nope, you can't do it this way. You're going to have to do it another way, and you realign whether you want to or not. Also looking at your Pisces house, being the area of life where these eclipses are going to show up. On the Pisces side, I'm going to do the Virgo next. We're learning to trust our intuition in a new way. We're doing complete and surrender on some level. We want to renew or initiate a deeper connection with your inner knowing or intuitive knowing. This is where we really learn to go with the flow and trust God, spirit, higher self, whatever you want to call it. We're also identifying any fragments or separations so we can unify within. We're dissolving boundaries and blockages in that house, right? This is where things are going to be stimulated and activated to either be better boundaries or let them go altogether because they're blocking stuff. Balancing and integrating the physical and spiritual into your daily routine, not just feast or famine, all or nothing, once or twice a year. We need a little daily rhythm where we talk to our body and where we talk to our spirit. Accessing the discipline of Virgo can help you activate the flow of Pisces. Questions to contemplate. Now, you will get these. You know what? That's what I'll do. I'm going to give you the lunar tools for Virgo Pisces lunation right now because our first eclipse is September 17th. It's right around the corner. So let's look at the Virgo stuff real quick, and then I'll make sure you all have these tools. And then you should look at those questions for journal prompts and to work with your cards and things. So that was Pisces. On the Virgo side, we're working on a major healing with a permanent shift. Where do you need that? In your Virgo department. Deep breath. And maybe it's not healing, maybe it's integration and wholeness that we're going for there. Trust, discernment, intuition, all part of the Virgo Pisces dynamic. But Virgo has to do with, like I said, trust, self-trust, learning to trust yourself, learning to forgive yourself for the little mistakes, the big mistakes, all the mistakes that you've made, because Virgo part of us can always point them out, whether you have it activated or not. I always say because Virgo is the lesson of trust and discernment, basically people have to let you down or violate your boundaries in order for you to learn what that looks like, feels like, and be able to sense it coming in the future. Like, because I've been through that so much, I can see it coming a mile away now. And I have a protocol for that. So don't allow your systems to be overwhelmed by outer influences. You take your power back by being more healthy and grounded in your physical body. and learning to forgive yourself and trust that you can make good choices going forward. Because sometimes we let ourselves down. We make poor choices, we make mistakes, and then we don't trust ourselves to make better choices in the future. This is what you're learning. You're learning right timing. You know, there may be some times when you want things a certain way at a certain time with a certain person in a certain way, and Spirit's like, we ain't doing it that way. I'll get with you in the divine time and order. You're not even ready for what you're calling in. Half the time, we're not. But this is important to test your body for the responses you're getting, because that's your inner compass. That's what's going to help you know what's right and wrong for you in the moment. We're creating order with Virgo in your life or environment. Your daily routine, mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical health come up. Keen sensitivity, strong intuition, and alert to details. Always a Virgo thing. Here we go with the self-healing and self-education. You know, Virgo's the virgin who is whole unto themselves. It doesn't have anything to do with sex and who you've slept with. It has to do with your inner wholeness and the integration of what you've learned along the way this lifetime. So we really have to do the Virgo part ourselves. Then we go into Libra and we can mix it up with other people. But I feel so strongly that we need to get it together internally before we go do that out in the world. Being in service of some kind, service to yourself, service to God, service to humanity. Virgo's the sign of being of service. The little details that make the big vision work, and balancing or recalibrating, let's say, your internal and external systems of all kinds, right? And then your Virgo house is where you need to give the flow a practical structure and container. It's where you invite the major healing with a permanent shift. It's where you get to heal and integrate your physical and spiritual selves. You get to upgrade your connection to your higher self and your intuitive faculties. Basically, we're upgrade to the systems within and without, the visible, invisible, tangible, intangible, logical, and intuitive. So that's another thing. We want our intuition and imagination working together. The intuition or instincts are coming from the body. The imagination is coming from your Iwaju, your third eye, and your crown, your consciousness. And like we said earlier, it's really important to access the discipline to activate the flow. That is totally Virgo Pisces. When we can be disciplined about it, we manifest much better. So I'm going to take a pause here before I go into the juicy divinations. Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, Sag, like I said, everyone's got it somewhere. And it is where we process and integrate all this information we're gathering. Okay, so here's what I did with the divinations, y'all. I went to the Vision Quest Tarot because we have 8, and I wanted to try to keep them short and sweet. And at the same time, it was the one that really did work. So I asked for guidance on Pisces, Virgo, the new path, and the new direction. So 4 separate questions of guidance. And then I did a shadow card for each. So for Pisces energy and the lessons and what's being activated with the eclipses and the node being there with the new beginning, the new path is initiating in our Pisces house with this one. And we got number 21, the big medicine wheel, which in this one, this is Vision Quest Tarot by Guy and Sylvie Winter and Joe Dose. Big medicine wheel is like the world card in the traditional tarot, but here it is a new dimension. And so this is our Pisces guidance. The shadow was 5 of water, loss. So we're going to do those 2 now. Here we go. Big medicine wheel. The key words are the new dimension, creation, altruism, new paradigm, transmutation, openness, global consciousness, individual awareness, sharing, recognizing, and assuming your rightful place in the world. Okay, deep breath. This is another place where you need to just open to receive that which is just for you. And there's a PDF so you can see the beautiful cards. The inner message says, in the center of the big medicine wheel, planet Earth is seen spinning, crowned by snake that symbolizes the mystical power of creation to constantly transmute and reinvent itself by taking countless forms. The mountain lion is known as a sign of spiritual guidance, physical prowess, and the ability to follow one's heart. The white buffalo is most special to the Native Americans. It is revered as a sign of answered prayers, renewal, and grace. Ashe. Eagle always symbolizes the Great Spirit. Its feathers are sacred and have been used by medicine folks since time immemorial during healing ceremonies to gaze into the realms beyond mundane life, expand one's horizon, and establish a connection with the unseen world. The human animal is just one part of the endlessly circular motion of the big medicine wheel. He is not positioned above nature or any other creature. It behooves man to remember his place in the great medicine wheel. This card embodies all stages of learning in the visible and invisible worlds. It stands for physical and spiritual rebirth and for completion. Now, Big Medicine Wheel encourages you to leave behind your old lifestyle and embrace a new phase. Let go of your past, thank it, bless it, but do not carry it around like so much dead weight. What is ready belongs to you and will stay and always be available to you. I'm not sure if this is supposed to say what is ready. I think it's supposed to say what is real. But I'll double check, y'all. Ready and real. Okay? But your past no longer exists. It is a mere memory that must now give way to an infinitely more fulfilling present, I say. If you wish, you can seize this great opportunity to wake up, to become more conscious and begin a different life. The outward manifestation says a major change in your circumstances is likely. The eternal wheel is turning, showing you a new direction. This may relate to your work, love life, or the entire network of your relationships. Don't let the fears and doubts habitually produced by your head hold you back. Something fresh and exciting is almost within reach. Be ready to receive it. Dare to plunge into the freedom of the unknown. Dare to jump into a life of greater beauty and fulfillment. So that needs to be part of our vision, y'all. Beauty and fulfillment. Peace and harmony. Let's say ease and grace around conflict resolution, because we don't want to be without conflict, because that helps us be creative. But again, we don't have to be tragic and hard. And we don't have to do it that way. And we don't have to do it through loss. So this is the shadow to be mindful of in our Pisces zone when the eclipses are happening. On either side, it's going to affect both sides no matter what's happening. The keywords are loss, disillusionment, meltdown, which in Pisces is overwhelmed, basically, instability, leaving the old, pain, possible separation, and torment caused by misinterpreting one situation, okay? So again, with our perceptions and our filters and our boundaries, what's really going on? We're going to have to ask at every single turn. The inner message says the veils of ignorance are being lifted. An illusion you have created and clung to now slowly dissolves, as it must. Be brave. This is the beginning of an internal liberation. Yes, indeed. If you really don't want to, you don't have to suffer. This is nothing more than a helpful wake-up call, so welcome it. Outward manifestation says, a situation changes without warning. It is useless to fight against the tide. Simply let go of what doesn't want to stay with you. Whatever you lose now has never truly belonged to you anyhow. This profound and at first very painful insight gives you a new kind of stability, I would say inner stability, and a much greater clarity about your true feelings. Deep breath. So yeah, when you walk it through, let's be mindful, because some things with Pisces is a natural ending, and some things we're holding on to over long, and it's going to cause suffering if it isn't already. So let's be aware. Self-awareness is part of the game too. Now our Virgo guidance is number 2 in the traditional tarot is High Priestess. And this one, it's Medicine Woman. And intuition is our main keyword, but there are several. Soulfulness, love for mankind, your female component, initiation, healing, prophecy and clairvoyance, visionary power. So let's think about that with Virgo in particular. And I was thinking with your female component is that it's earth, it's feminine. So a lot of times Virgo gets a bad rap, but really we're just trying to be natural and feminine. The inner message says Medicine Woman symbolizes your feminine powers, which is the soulfulness within. By flooding you with intuitions, she initiates you into her many mysteries. Among other things, she can start and accelerate healing processes. That's the other thing. I always call Virgo the High Priestess, so I thought it was really crazy that we got this here. Once you submit to this energy within you, you will also be healed. Holy comes from healed and wholeness and is revealed through healing. Initiation in this case means to be introduced to your own healing powers, Ashe. These spring from the deepest and highest dimension of your consciousness. Relax deeply, and a miraculous healing knowledge will arise spontaneously. The more playful and flexible you are when receiving intuitive insights, the more accurate your forecasts will be. The more silently alert you become, the more directly and clearly your intuition speaks to you. Deep breath. The more silently alert you are, then the more directly and clearly your intuition can speak to you. And I also talk about this too. The difference between ego and spirit is that ego badgers you and you should do it, you should call him, you should go here, you should do this, you should do that. And it bothers you all day long. Ego wants to be heard, it wants to be right, it wants to be understood, all of that. That's all ego. But spirit only speaks once, and it doesn't mean it won't speak again. It's just not going to badger you. So that's the other reason for being present and being healthy in your body, so that you can feel those signals, right? We get them, and we just don't always pay attention to them. We're usually moving too fast through life. So, again, more meditation, more time in reverie, and even if people call you lazy and whatever, that's a bunch of nonsense. You're talking to God at that moment. Can't nothing be more important than that. Come on now. Intuitive powers can affect your life only when you give them enough room to unfold. What Medicine Woman stands for cannot be forced or conjured up. To let her affect the course of your daily life, you must first recognize your negative thought patterns and consciously let them go. Only then will it be possible to drink from the well of intuitive wisdom that is seamlessly connected to the source of all life, wherever it manifests in the universe, I say. The wisdom that arises from the ground of all being is limitless and eternal, indescribable beyond words. To wake up to it, a lot of attention has to be directed within. To be healed internally, love needs to be found within. Your path is to follow your intuition. Deep breath. So that's going to be another thing about this life path and direction unfolding. We're going to do better when we consult our spirit team before we make a move. We're going to do better when we follow our intuition. If we ignore it, we're going to get problems and challenges and delays and blockages and things, right? Now, when that shifts to Leo Aquarius, that's a different ballgame. Coming out of Aries Libra, that's a different ballgame. But Virgo Pisces is more intuitive, internal processing, how we're moving from that point. Now, there was something else in here I wanted to speak on, too. Hold on. A lot of attention directed within. I think that might have been it. But just again with the Virgo wholeness, integration of your individual self. I always say that the first to sixth house are at the bottom of your chart. Your chart is a big circle. The bottom half of the circle is very personal. It's your identity, your values, your thinking, how you take care of yourself and recharge your battery, how you express yourself, and how you really take care of your day-to-day rhythms. That's all very personal. And when we go above the horizon, the top part of your chart is who you are in relationship, intimate with, who you go to school with, work with, and do community with. Now we're talking about other people. So I always say it's really good to use that part of the year. It goes from your rising 6 months forward. I'm a Sag rising. So from Sag to Gemini, from December to June, it's personal for me. I'm working on Kelly. But then from June to December, I'm out here mixing it up with y'all. Now, if I don't take care of myself and I don't replenish and I don't change my thinking or my values and I don't tend to personal stuff at home, then mixing it up with you all is never going to be fun. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to go the way I think it should. So it becomes really important for you to do self-preservation and do what you have to do to make yourself healthy and whole. And that's the same thing with Aries to Virgo. You know, Aries is that dynamic, let's get it moving, spark, but it's also your identity and purpose. Taurus is your values and creature comforts and security needs. Gemini is how you think. Cancer is how you do your personal security real in the private sector, where you lay your head in your sacred space. That's so critical to being able to recharge your battery, right? Leo is how you shine your light, and Virgo is how you take care of yourself. So we're still in this zone of it being super personal. But the idea is to get strong on that side so that you can go to the Pisces side and have the dream, have the grand vision work out in your world, you know, with whoever you're dealing with on any level, personally or professionally. So the shadow for Virgo is 7 of air, and I usually encourage you all to look these up in your own deck. So 7 of air in this deck is called futility. The keywords are negative expectations, discouragement, fear of the unknown, collapse of illusions, rigid thought patterns, survival fears, resistance to the inner emptiness. Deep breath. These can all be very shadow Virgo things too. If we don't become keenly aware of them, the behavior patterns we grew up with continue to dominate our life. The fear of being inadequate, unable to accomplish anything worthwhile, is usually a hangover from the past. Recognize that the negative thoughts tormenting you over and over truly have nothing to do with your present situation. Deep breath. So the other thing that Virgo's perfectionism is looking for is not really looking for perfection, it's looking for wholeness. And the wholeness has to do with the patterns. So Virgo is also the zone where our negative DNA, karma, family patterns can seep through as well. It usually, I think, has more to do with you and other people in that regard. Like I use a lot of Cancer Capricorn for the family DNA karma. It gets real deep in there. But I think any of the earth and water, Virgo, Pisces, Cancer, Capricorn, and Taurus, Scorpio, all deeply karmic because our body and our soul connected to our DNA people, right? So think about the patterns, the negative patterns that you were conditioned to, any that you brought with you, because I always joke, we bring stuff from mama, we bring stuff from daddy, and then we bring our own little pack of something to unpack while we're here. That ain't got nothing to do with either one of them. So, what did you bring with you that you've been unpacking this lifetime that you don't want to trip you up anymore going forward? The outward manifestation says, if you wallow in your negativity long enough, it should come as no surprise that you attract what you fear the most. Then even the outside world will oblige you by getting more scary. Deep breath. As long as you don't know how to get out of a trouble spot, keep quiet. Inaction is better than any action on your part now, especially when you're in that zone. A deeper understanding arises through patience and forgiveness, especially when it comes to yourself. Deep breath. So because Virgo Pisces also brings up that perfectionist thing where if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. It's challenging. That's a lot of the artist that constantly is honing. Like I heard a story about D'Angelo and what's his name from The Roots. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on his name. But anyway, he was like, no, we got to put this out. D'Angelo wanted to just pick at these little teeny tiny things that nobody in the street would even know about. You had to be a true musician to even notice the stuff. And there's a part of us that especially creatives go through, it's just not that vision that you had in your imagination, right? So the idea is to become a little more fluid and understanding about nature not being perfect, right? It's perfect in its nature, but it's not perfect in perfect straight lines that linear, colonized, Western thinking, patriarchal thinking wants us to do. That's not even natural for us, and this is where we're getting back to what's natural for us, at least in this village, right? In our village, we're staying connected to Mama because she's got all the good stuff. Now, our new path guidance, this was crazy too. We got the big medicine wheel and the small medicine wheel. And the small medicine wheel is our guidance for our new path. And in the traditional tarot, it's Wheel of Fortune. And this one, it's the new beginning. So the key words are success, outgoing energy, completed cycle, new beginning, promising start, change, gratitude, and a new phase begins. So it's another wheel, another Native American wheel. Eagle hovers in the east of the wheel. He is the totem or power animal that furthers your spiritual growth and watches over your path. Coyote sits in the south of the wheel, reminding you of the innocence of your childhood days. As one of the totem animals that help you develop trust, he teaches attentiveness to your feelings and how to find inner balance. Bear is standing in the west of the wheel. He knows the answers to your deepest questions and points the way to your own truth. Deep breath. Buffalo waits at the northern gate, symbolizing the all-encompassing wisdom. He teaches what it means to give, as well as the significance of gratitude. The wings of the great white eagle span the entire circle. He is the guardian of the threshold, protector of the sacred medicine wheel. The power of the small medicine wheel will transport you safely into the new phase of your life. It is an omen of good fortune and fulfillment. It also points to a completion. Something old falls away painlessly. Ashe, deep breath. If you listen to your inner being and trust your intuition, the new beginning will be like a resurrection. Which one of the four totem animals speaks to you the most or the most clearly? Listen to its message. start to sense it within you now. You need not verbalize it. Our deepest knowing needs no words. Deep breath. So there was something here too. Hold on. Yes, you begin to trust your intuition. So that's the other thing about this dynamic with Virgo Pisces. It's like building a muscle. You've got to use your intuition to build that strength and power that you can trust, that you can rely on. I went to my husband after a big shift in 2006 to '08, exactly in this time zone. And I was like, look here, never, not once, never again in my life am I going to go against my intuition like that. Ever, ever, ever for you, nobody, not my child, not my husband. I will never violate God that way. It was like really going against God. When you don't follow your intuition, you are not listening to your higher self, and you are going to catch a smackdown. It's just inevitable. So we want to be really clear that practicing with your intuition becomes vitally important to work it like a muscle. Like I said, it grows in strength and power that way. And you learn when you're wrong. That's what I say too. When you're wrong, you look around to see where your focus was a little off. What were you not focused on that got you all off track in this way? And I'm telling you, then you learn that in the moment, you can get distracted, you can get tripped up, you can not be looking at the right thing to make that decision in that moment that requires you to follow your intuition. So start to learn. That's why I say use it, because you're right more than you're wrong. Really, truly, the times that you're wrong are going to give you some information to work with, to go forward with. So don't sleep on those setbacks or the things, the times the intuition didn't go the way you thought it would, because you're going to learn about how your intuition works through that process. These will be in the post-call goodies, and those of you who are here or registered will definitely get goodies too, and the lunar tools. Those will be useful too. They've got a lot of the extra support and those journal prompts and some breath work. So those will be juicy too. Okay, so now we did the path guidance. Now we're doing the shadow of the new path. So the new path was the small medicine wheel. The shadow of that is 10 of air, which is negative thinking. So when we're on our path, again with our consciousness really being so key, what do we really believe in that moment? Because it's a fine line we're walking these days. So the key words are negative thinking, doubts and existential fears, unwillingness to let go of negative mind loops. Okay, that's that monkey mind again. Clinging to self-destructive notions. Okay, deep breath. The inner message says sometimes you create your own hell just by repeating hateful thought patterns. There is no hell outside of you. Hell and heaven are internal states of mind. We create them. This power and responsibility cannot be placed at other people's doorstep, even if and when that feels more comfortable. Become aware of how you think about yourself and how you treat yourself. Okay, so that's another one we're really looking into going forward. And see what happens when these eclipses happen and things like that. I'll make sure those dates are in the post-call goodies too. The outward manifestation says no new seeds should be thrown onto this field of doubt. Straighten yourself out first. We always say raise your vibration first and then go to your spirit team and start asking questions. Try not to hold on to past offenses. Clinging to a mental position robs you of your strength. Ooh, deep breath. Become aware of how your mind loops drag you ever deeper into the muck, especially in work-related matters. Ooh, deep breath. That means out in public. Let's be mindful. Fresh air, exercise, and regular relaxation will help you jump off this downward spiraling carousel of anger, worry, and pain. Okay, so there's a couple of Virgo mantras I got to give y'all too. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. Worry is not preparation. You know, there's so many things. That's a detail. I used to be famous for that's a detail. People will be like, Kelly, how are you going to do that? I had these big dreams, big visions, and I made half of them come true. And they're like, how are you going to, that's a detail. That's up to God. In my world, it was all up to God. I'm like, I just got to show up and be ready. And I'm calling her back. It's time for her to come back and help me. So that was the shadow card for the new path. Now, here's what I was thinking about the difference between the new path versus the new direction, y'all, is that I am going in a new direction, but I'm still going to be on my path of cycles and earth medicine and ancestral reverence. Like, I'm not giving that part of my path up, but I am probably about to go in a new direction. So there's that, right? Some of us need a whole new path and need to go in a whole new direction, right? And some of us are already on our true path, and our purpose is I know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I just know that there's an elevation going on right now. There's a rise in my level in a certain way of how I have to go through now. So think about that when you're making the distinction between a new path versus new direction guidance. This one, for a new direction, we got the daughter of air, which is self-actualization. So again, we're in our bodies, we're in our imagination. Your imagination is so critical right now. What you're believing to be true or possible is going to be at the root of all of it. So the keywords are freedom-loving spirit, awakening intuition, sometimes confusion between thoughts and gut feelings, deep breath, tuning into one's own inner power, self-liberation, and emancipation. The inner message says, your inner Amazon now wants to find a clearly defined direction. Ashe, yes she does. She refuses to stay submissive. She insists on being fully herself, whatever it may cost. A profound longing for your own inner truth demands your undivided attention. So remember, we're still in the womb. We're still developing on a certain level. You are well on the way to finding yourself. Deep breath. So the outward manifestation says, with awareness and a little skill, you can steer the immense powers of your feminine energy in a positive direction and understand their nature more deeply than ever. So feminine energies in men and women, this is the part of us that can contain, nurture, and protect. This is the part of us that can receive and magnetize and attract, right? We're not making things happen. We're drawing them to us as the feminine way. With the masculine, it's how we negotiate on our own behalf, get our ideas in the world, and hold good boundaries. We need both. First, drop all negative judgments about your apparent shortcomings. Okay, again, with the perceptions, your energy turns acidic when you insist on maintaining a fixed position with too much vehemence. Wild mental horses will drag you away as long as you don't know how to tame them with love. So stay alertly flexible. Deep breath. The shadow side of that is the 8 of air, called interference. The keywords are interrupted energy flow, inhibitions, being in the head too much, misgivings and worries, stagnant forces, unforeseen obstacles and challenges. The inner message says your brain can't decide for or against anything right now. Actually, there's no need to solve all your problems at once. Remember what I said, pick one thing, and then go from there. Thoughts have their limitations as they can only get you so far. Now relax and let everything that threatens to overwhelm you drop off for a moment and see what arises. Okay, deep breath. Interference, any static on the line, any way that your nervous system is being taxed. Let's pull back, ground with Virgo in nature, do something sacred, go back to the heart. This is the way that we soothe interference type of frequencies. Breathing is good, grounding, all that. The outward manifestation says a situation demands to be cleared up, but there may be a delay caused by unexpected outside interference. Detach. It is wiser to step back. Simply wait to see what happens. At the moment, you are not the only player on the stage. Others may have a totally opposing agendas and views. So watch what develops from a certain distance. A delay often reveals a more creative solution. Don't push for a decision right now. From confusion arises only more confusion. Okay, deep breath. Now, there was something in there I wanted to touch on. Hold on. Oh, I know. So let's think about that. If we're going in a new direction, the self-actualization piece of this means that you're going to have to be able to stand on it, even with folks who don't get it. You feel me? There's going to be some of that, right? When you change, everyone around you has to change or go away. That's just natural law. You can't even work around that. So trust it, stand on it, because otherwise this interference could get pretty loud and delay your good, and we don't want that, okay? So that is actually the end of the divination. I am very excited to get on this new path of a dream and a vision, because that's what Karmic Tools was. And now I'm seeing where I'm ready to walk a new 20-year path in a different kind of way. I'm trying to find my land, too. Like, he's got the big land in the big school. I'm going to have a little land in a little school. Someplace where I can park it for my old age and where y'all can come see me. So thinking about that big vision, thinking about the day-to-day it's going to take to get there, And usually starting with your health and daily routines is a good place to start, because I'm starting to learn I have to do maintenance in a way that things used to be automatic. My lifestyle was more active and things were just natural. Now I have to put that time aside to do the physical maintenance and things like that. So whatever it takes, whatever age and stage you're at, everyone's at a different evolutionary stage based on their age at this point. But we have some big cycles contributing to this life path and direction that is initiating right now that we just completed from '06 to '08 to now. This is a full 20-year cycle we just walked. And now, what's the new dream? And if you can remember back then, I can say, let's just go back to the last one. Virgo was 2015 to 17, and then that shifted to Leo in 2018-19. So what happened during those years? That's Virgo, Leo. Let's go all the way back to Pisces, Aquarius, which is where we are now. '06 to '08 was Pisces, and '08 to '09 was Aquarius. This is what we're going back into, a zone, a direction, a kind of vision for the future that goes from Pisces to Aquarius that way. So think about '06 to '09 totally. That whole zone is where we're going to be for the next several years at this time too. And what kind of choices worked? What kind of choices didn't? What direction did you go that was like, that was right, that was wrong, that was kind of in the middle? Whatever it is, the idea is, you hear me say this a lot too, y'all, is that cycles repeat, but every time they repeat, you're different, the people around you are different, the sky pattern's different, and so we should be able to respond with different energies and different responses because we're in a whole different position now. So we like that cycles repeat because we get a kind of another chance to go at it from a different way with a different alchemical mix of energy supporting us, and maybe we can get a different outcome this time, right? There's so many things that took off at that time. I was doing a lot of hay house, and I kind of expanded really fast, and I can feel that coming again where messing with I've been putting along like just fine, managing my little level here, and then it's expanding, it's growing. So I'm preparing for that exponential growth because I know this cycle. I know what it did to me last time. I know where I was on nonstop, '06 to '08. I mean to tell you, every single day I was in ritual. Every single day. And I'm literally just getting to the place after parenthood to be able to go back to that kind of dedicated ritual, right? I've told you, we've talked about this, how I would not be able to do as much as I do with her if I was still in full-blown parent mode. So God is good for all the timing, right? We've been circling each other for years and then finally got together. So look for that natural right timing with this one for you as well. What feels right in your intuition, in your gut, to be able to make those choices. And also know that you're preparing to shine your light and expand your community. So in order to do that, you want to be strong and grounded and healthy. So let's use this year and a half to really address that. Because again, social collective is going through a new realm too, y'all. Like we could do a whole nother call just on the ramifications of the social collective thing. But in this case, you know me, I'm always thinking if the individuals get it together, the globe will be okay. So I want you to be okay and know what you're dealing with. Okay, I want to get this hooked up, and I'll make sure you get your activations, which tell you where Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini, Sag are for you, where it's going to really affect your processing over the next year and a half, which is critical to do in order to go into that Leo Aquarius, and we're going to really ground some new level self-expression and self-love and self-worth and self-value is going to come to bear, whatever you've been working on. Yes, we're doing it together. That's the thing about this beautiful community and the expansion going on. We're all going to learn how to hold more, but also by being more grounded and healthy in our individual selves. I trust that. And I'm very grateful that y'all hung late with me. Thank you, everyone. Reach out directly with any aha moments or questions, and I'll get this out as fast as I can. And thank you, everyone. Keep in touch.